All right, we're out in the shop today. Obviously, we're getting the sprayer ready for the upcoming season. Looking forward to it. What we're going to talk about is how are you going to measure this year's corn planter performance? Because remember, if we're going to manage something, we have to be able to measure that something. For example, if you wanted to lose weight, right? You want to manage your weight. How are you going to measure that? Well, most people would buy a scale, right? If you really want to get elaborate, they might get a calculator to count calories or download an app. Those are the tools you're going to measure what you want to manage. When it comes to corn planters, I have this conversation all the time with farmers. We're not talking how new or how old your planter is. We're not talking about how much technology you have, how much technology you don't have. Trust me, nobody cares. Nobody squeals louder than a person online who doesn't have technology on his planter. It gets kind of old after a while, but who gives a rip? You farm your way, that's your business. But I'll talk to farmers and I'll say, hey, how's everything going, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's good. I go, all right. I go, how is your corn planter doing? Well, it's great. Perfect. Man, I'm glad to hear that. How do you know? Well, they would say, well, we had great yields. I say, I'm sure you did. I go, that's fantastic. I wasn't asking like how your yields were. I'm asking how is your corn planter performing? How do you know if it's doing a really good job or if we're missing something? How do you know? They don't know. And that's the point in the conversation where I know that they know that I know that they don't know. That's okay. That hasn't been a big priority until the last 10 years or so. But back off that conversation because nobody likes their nose rubbed in their own crap, right? So, okay. There's different ways to go around and go at it from there. But the question is, how are you measuring performance? Well, what I've learned in northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin is planting season for us, corn planting, is a symphony of three things. Your planter, your seed, and your soil. Now, whether you're no-till, strip-till, conventional till, you like to get after it, you like to lay back, you like to plant beans, I don't care. You farm your way, it's up to you. My question is, though, is that soil in the best condition it can be for you to pull the trigger and pull out of the yard that morning? Nobody gets to plant in 100% perfect conditions. No one has the perfect planter, because if the perfect planter existed, don't you think we'd all run it? And the same with hybrids. You choose the best hybrid you can for that piece of dirt that you're headed towards. And did you pick the perfect one? Who knows? You're not going to know till the end of the year. And if there was a perfect hybrid that you could plant for everywhere, don't you think we'd all be planting it? Okay, so it's kind of a symphony of give and take, and what are we going to be able to take advantage of? What are we willing to kind of give up to get the job done in a timely fashion and move on? I totally get it. I totally understand it. I've got customers from 300 acres all the way up to, I don't even want to know. So it's a symphony of the three things. And how are we going to measure the performance of what we're trying to accomplish? The accomplishment that we want to achieve is every single seed that we plant brings you a harvestable ear. That may not be entirely possible, but that's our goal. All right, so we've decided that today is the day. The soil is in as good a condition as it can be. It's fit. I used to kind of harp on guys like, man, you gotta wait. We need that soil to warm up. We really need that soil to warm up. You don't want to go yet. We want that soil to warm up. It's like pulling back on a pit bull with the chain tight. Let him go. And I just tell guys now, if it's fit, let her rip. That's it. That's it. If it's fit, let her rip. All right, so you're out, you're going. Things have started off good. We got a few gremlins out. And what do farmers like to do? Well, they'll stop, they'll get out, and they'll usually use a tool, looks like this, and they'll get down, and they dig straight down till they find a seed. All right, the seed's there, and then they'll say, yeah, it's about 2 or 2 1/4 or 1, whatever that depth is you're looking for. Okay, we're good, let her rock. Off they go. With me, I like to go a little bit further in depth, and this is a tool I got from Precision Planting Conference. It looks more like a death hatchet, but I like to let the planter go, come back, dig across the V-trench, and pull that dirt back, and then look at that profile, then use a knife to kind of shave off layers until I can find that seed. And then when I look at that seed and I look at the world around it, I want that seed to look like it was magically placed there by aliens. There's no evidence of mechanical interference, because if there is, ooh, that might be a bad day. Might not matter. Might be a bad day. Probably a bad day. But that's how I like to judge on the day of the invasion, so to speak. How is that planter performing? Because your monitor, regardless of the operating system you're running, you probably got a ton of information up in that cab to let you know the pertinent things. Match those numbers to your brain, to what you visually see in the dirt, and you're ready to rock and roll. All right, we've gone through the preseason. We've prepped the planter as good as we can. The soil's ready. The seed, it's going to be the perfect seed, guaranteed 300 bushels. You got free hats, you got free trips to the islands. Everything's going to be great, right? The day of the invasion comes, you go out, you plant, you dig in the dirt, everything's looking pretty good. You finish that farm. Now, what do we need to do as far as performance of our corn planter? Well, for me, the important thing in northern Illinois, and when I mean northern Illinois, I mean like 6 miles from the Wisconsin state line. There's Packer fans everywhere. One of my obscure talents in row crop was the ability to plant a field and then within 24 hours get a piss pounder 2, 3, 4 inches of rain, which is a great way to make concrete. You got to be very aware of that. And are we crusting over? It's tremendous fun. All right, so you get through that window. I want you to keep coming back, keeping an eye on that field, because the next step in terms of managing the performance of our corn planter is going to be flag testing emergence. Now, it doesn't cost too much to get flags just like this off of Amazon or whatever. I don't know if Precision Planting is still doing that. I don't know. You could log on and put your info in and they'll send you a kit. I don't know if they still do that or not. But however you decide to flag test, I know Precision Planting has their theories, Fred Below has his theories, Randy Dowdy and David Hula have their theories. I don't care which one you use, pick one. The important thing is you get out there. If you're in 30-inch rows, you want to measure off 17 feet 5 inches. And then you come back, and then you come back, and then the next day, and then the next day at the same time. I know it takes time. I know we're all busy. I know it sucks, but trust me, you got to do this. And you get looking, and on that one day, and you'll see, you know what? It's popped through the ground. Boom. He gets a flag. And you look up and down that 17 feet 5 inches, and you flag all the other guys that popped up on that same day. Then you come back a day later, and like I said, whether you're keeping track of the days, the GDUs, the amount of wins, your favorite baseball team, I don't care what you're keeping track of, but keep track of it. You'll follow that all the way through the end of the season, and then I want you to do is come back and you pull the ears out of category 1, then you pull the ears out of category 2, you pull the ears out of category 3, or however it was you maintained your flag testing. That is going to tell you a tremendous story, because emergence, that's what we're after. That's what pays the bills, is emergence. You've paid for the land, you've paid for the seed, you've paid for the diesel, you've paid for all the equipment. We need to get that seed up evenly. There are planter companies, and I used to sell seed. We had a seed agronomist, and he used to say, oh, this hybrid's fantastic, flies out of the ground, it's a fast emerger. Fast emergence has nothing to do with yield. Even emergence, that pays the bills. All right, again, we've carried through all the steps, right? We've gone through on our emergence plot. We've pulled those ears. Another thing that I like to do, a planter variability check. This is where you go out, 12, 16, 24 row planter. You find out, okay, this is row 1. We're headed that way. Pick your 17 feet 5 inches if you're in 30-inch rows. Set a flag in row 1, pull those ears for 17 feet 5 inches. Put them in a bag, label them. Row 2, same 17 feet 5 inches. Put them in a bag, label them, 3, 4, 5. Come back to your shop, put those ears down on the floor. Row 1, all of them right here. Row 2, all of them right here. You can shell them, you can count around and length. There's different math formulations you can use, but look at the yield variability from row to row to row. It's going to tell you an amazing story. Same hybrid, same fertility, same field, same weather, same rain, same GDUs, same combine, same everything. Why is the yield varying as much as it is? Probably your corn planter. And that is the reason why we do these things, because then we can walk into a conversation and say, I need to fix XYZ. How are we going to do that? Why do we need to do that? What's going to be our ROI? The other dynamic of your corn planter, of course, is efficiency. That's why Speed Tube exists, because we have fewer able-bodied humans who can run a machine like that. So we need fewer people to do more acres in what seems like a smaller and smaller window of prime planting opportunity. So as the industry evolves, as row crop farming matures, it's getting to be a very interesting space. But the planter matters as much or more than it ever has. So with that, keep that in mind. Feel free to call me, 309-208-0117. We do corn planters 12 months out of the year. Love to talk to you about your ideas on what you can do to measure the performance of that corn planter and then make a decision. Do we have to do something, or are we pretty good right where we're at? So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.